Coach, when you play in a team like this, where does it start for your group tonight? What were the points of emphasis for your group as you went through shoot around?
I mean, defensively, it starts just understanding who they have on that team. Darius playing well, Donovan playing well. I mean, they're just the number one team in the league for a reason. They're playing great basketball. And so our ability to defend the three-point line, get back in transition, defend without fouling, but then offensively, we got to make sure we're sharing and moving the basketball and making the right quick decision.
How much is a game like this about what you guys are doing as much as it is about what they can do?
Well, they're playing very good basketball, and we understand that. I mean, they are where they are for a reason. We understand the roster. We understand how they play. But again, it does come down to are we taking care of our business, leading the league in scoring? So can we do our job defensively and not give up the easy, cheap ones and make it hard on each one of those guys that are certified scorers?
You guys played them earlier this year. That was the first game without Paolo. Yeah. You're also without Wendell and Gopher that night. A few months ago, obviously, and you're still missing Jalen. But how do you feel like you match up with this Cap squad?
I mean, I think it's always hard to tell because of having bodies out. But again, we always talk about the opportunity that it gives other guys to step up and step in. We obviously have more bodies back tonight, so it'll be a very good test for us to see exactly how we take on and embrace the challenge of playing a team like that. But also knowing what we're capable of doing, both offensively and defensively.
We just talked to Wendell, and he mentioned that there was a little bit something extra about this game. Is that sentiment kind of shared throughout the entire team?
Yeah, I mentioned it to our guys in the film room. I went back and you watch Game 6. At home, the crowd, the energy, the focus, where we were, the intensity of having to win the game, and our guys came out with an incredible focus. Now that was last year. This is this year. We've got to understand exactly what we know we're capable of doing from a mindset. But now you got to go out and get on the floor and prove that.
How is Jalen doing? I know he's out tonight, but
yeah.
Was he able to do this?
Jalen was just able to do some running, still no contact.
How can you tell, maybe you or the medical staff, regardless of Jalen, but when a player is ready for contact? Like, what's that process?
And again, everybody is different in how they respond to treatments, how they respond to the work that they've done that day. And so you really have to go off of their body of work. I mean, it's how does he feel in those moments and what can he push through? Where's the pain tolerance in a lot of ways? I think you've got to allow and have great lines of communication with our guys and see how they feel after responding to what has happened.
Has there been a setback, or is this just something that takes time?
This is something that takes time.
Is that just kind of going off that? Is that channel communication? Is that something that he relays to you guys? Is that something the medical team does?
I think they're in constant. It's a constant collaboration and constant communication about what's seen, what's done, the body of work that's needed, how far we can push, what more we can do. I mean, we're not leaving any stone unturned. We're trying to find every reason to see how he is, but also knowing it's very important that we look at long term as well and make sure that he's full go when he steps on that court for us.
What exactly is this injury?
Quad contusion.
Is it also a bone bruise of some kind?
There's some bruising there, yes. So I think there's a lot that goes into it when it comes to that. So I think being able to have him register exactly the feeling that he has going into it, and us being able to be smart about how we go about assessing it, and with the treatment as well.
How much has his previous back injury, maybe some time up there with the back strain, how much does that play a factor into things maybe still recovering?
I don't know how much that plays into it, but again, this is a young man that we understand exactly how we need to treat moving forward with him to make sure that everything is completely right before he steps on the court.
Defending Garland, whether or not he plays, but defending Garland and Mitchell tonight without Jalen, how tough a task without him?
Well, I think it's by committee, and we've talked about it a ton. You've got to make sure that you put the right matchups on them. You've got to see different bodies. Bigs are going to be very important because a lot of times it's not just him against the guard. It's going against the big because they're a heavy pick and roll team. So our ability to have the high levels of communication, 5-man job, making sure that everybody's tied together on a string.
So I asked Dell about keeping that Cleveland front line off the offensive glass. He kind of chuckled like he's heard that in the last day or two. What are the challenges of that, and what do specifically Mobley and Jared Allen do so well to grab so many second chances?
I mean, as Beatty just talked about with the job on the guards, like our bigs are going to be involved in that too. So as you're doing your job trying to keep those guys out of the pick and roll and scoring, like you've got to make sure you're getting back to the big because they're now right at the rim. So again, that's a 5-man job as well. So those guards are going to be in play as well to help out on those rebounds with our bigs.
Mitchell's especially crafty, along with Garland. To have veteran guards like
KCP,
Yeah.
Gary, how valuable is it in these moments to have guys that kind of have an idea of what they're going to try to do?
That's great. I mean, those guys have seen it, they've experienced, they've been in it. So their ability to know exactly how they got to guard, what they need to do, and again, they have the respect factor of those guys that they played against, and knowing how they have to guard them and defend them the right way. And it's not an easy task, but having those guys is very important for us.
After taking Cleveland 7 games in the playoffs and now being back here, records might be different, but y'all are still fighting for a playoff spot, kind of like last year. Does this spot kind of feel familiar with going into Cleveland, knowing this is such a big game, just like it was last season?
It's familiar because of the opponent and the scenario, yeah. But we're in two different spaces now. Obviously, with what we've been dealing with this year, but our guys being able to be resilient and understand exactly when we hit this home court and having this homestand is important, because it's the same. I just talked about watching Game 6 over again and how our energy and our intensity was within that game. I thought it was big time.
How are you expecting Kia Center to be today?
I think it's going to be extremely loud, extremely active, high intensity, high energy. Again, that's what our guys are looking forward to get themselves going, not just because of the crowd, but because of what we know, a great opponent.